All right, everyone. Welcome back to Birds on the Farm, our minor league prospect podcast here on Dealing the Cards YouTube channel. I'm in the seat for once, so we'll see how this goes. Sandy wasn't able to do it this week, and Josh also wasn't able to sub in, but I'm here. So we're going to be breaking. It's actually a pretty big episode today. Kareem has updated his top 30 prospects list for the Cardinals. And we're going to just be going through that, breaking down some of the names that we should be looking at. We're going to start top to bottom, starting with number one, who I think a lot of you guys already know who that might be. But yeah, just excited to be here with you guys and get started on this. So right off the bat, Kareem, who is your number one overall prospect in the Cardinals system? I don't think this is going to surprise a lot of people.
Before we get into it, Andrew, I mean, it's a matter of time having you on Birds on the Farm. Obviously, being able to do this with Sandy, Josh subbed in one time, and now to have you, it's cool. Hopefully this isn't the last time we can do this together. But yeah, really excited about this episode. A lot of movement in the top 30. And before we get into all the prospects, I just want to say the system is in a lot better place now than what it was entering the season. I feel a lot more comfortable about comfortable about the system as a whole, as opposed to what it was earlier in the season. Especially, I think they had a stellar draft. Really excited to see these names enter the system. And you look at a guy like Tanner Franklin, competitive balance round B. He had an appearance down at Palm Beach, 2 innings, 4 strikeouts, electric stuff, and he's already getting that promotion up to Peoria. So that's exciting. And a bunch of pitchers throughout the system. You look at a Braden Davis, last year draft pick out of Oklahoma. I don't think we could have imagined him taking the sort of leap that he has this year. This is his first full professional season, but I mean, the kind of strikeout ability that he's shown already in the minor leagues. I think he's 7th overall in minor league baseball in strikeouts. Just impressive stuff from the left side. Brycen Mautz has had a huge season, big developer. Last year, very disappointing season at the Peoria level, high A. But this year, velocity's shot up. He's had a really successful season. Missed a little bit of time, but the numbers have been so consistent. He's got an ERA around 3, 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. The gyro slider looks as good as ever. And that's in large part due to the fastball taking a tick up from the low 90s to closer to the mid 90s on average. There's been a ton of pitching injuries, but I think a lot of the, I think there are a lot of arms in the system that have taken big, leaps forward. You look at someone like an Eshawn Henderson that entering the season, I don't think most people had inside the top 30. I think I had him around 20, and I was one of the high people on him entering the season. And he's jumped close to, the top 10 in the organization for me. So before we talk about, this list, I just want it to be known that sure, these are the top 30 prospects in the organization, according to me, but I think the depth is in a lot better spot. I'm feeling a lot better about those prospects from, the 30 to 50 range than I did entering the season. And that's a great sign. So leading off for us, this shouldn't be a surprise, but infielder JJ Weatherholt, what a season. 948 OPS on the year between AA and AAA, 16 home runs, 20 stolen bases. He's just a pure hitter. We knew that entering the draft, slipped a little bit due to medicals, had the hamstring issue, I think grade 2 hamstring, which lingered a little bit. He dealt with it in the summer and earlier in the season for West Virginia 2024. He missed some time, but this is just a pure hitter, one of the best hitters in minor league baseball, has a feel to go gap to gap. We know the opposite field power is certainly there for him. This isn't going to be someone that is necessarily, going to be selling out for that pull side power. It just comes natural to him. And we've seen that at the AAA level. At AA, the power numbers were pretty modest. I think it was an ISO around 150, but he's jumped to the AAA level, and the power numbers have been really, really good. And it's not just the raw numbers, the home runs, the slugging percentage. He's got a 310 ISO, in those 148 plate appearances so far at the AAA level. But you look at his batted ball data, his quality of contact numbers. He's got an average exit velocity of 91 miles an hour, which ranks in the 91st percentile of AAA. His exit velocities on balls hit in the air, 93.6, 93rd percentile. He's constantly hitting the ball hard, 49% hard hit rate. So batted balls 95 plus. He's again 93rd percentile for that, and barrel rate. So which is the ideal combination of exit velocities and launch angle. 13.2%, which is in the 88th percentile. So, everything from a power standpoint has been impressive for JJ Weatherholt. Is he getting to those, super high max EVs? He's only topped out at 107.6 so far at the AAA level, which isn't that high. The 90th tells a more accurate story in terms of the raw the raw power that he possesses. I think he's closer to like a true 110, 111 max. But at the same time, I don't even care about the max. I don't care about what he's topping out at. He's been hitting the ball hard consistently, and that's what you want to see out of a hitter. And, the calling card for him always has been, his swing decisions, his ability to recognize pitches, out of the hand. He knows when to do damage, when to lay off. And that has been super impressive to me so far this year at the AAA level. It's a 66% Z swing, which is, pretty average, especially when you factor in he's only chasing 18.2% of the time. So not just a passive hitter at the plate. Think of someone like Lars Nootbaar. He's going to walk, but, when something is left over the heart of the plate, he's not always going to be able to, do damage on it, which can be incredibly frustrating as a fan. JJ is not that way. If he gets something over the heart of the plate, he's going to do damage. He's going to find a way to elevate and, get an extra base hit out of it. The contact numbers on the season have been or at the AAA level, haven't been quite as stellar as what I would have expected. It's a 74.5% contact rate overall and 79.7% zone contact rate, which is only in the 32nd percentile in AAA. But Baseball America wrote a piece on JJ, and they just talked about how he's just making sure that if he does get something to do damage, he's going to be able to do damage. But if he isn't able to do that, he's going to be able to foul off pitches and, make sure that he's not going to ultimately strike out. But that's why you see some of the contact rates not as high. He is, making an effort to do damage, which has, ticked down the contact rates a little bit. But I think it's been worth it so far at the AAA level. The numbers, tell the story with that. So, and he's still only striking out like 14% of the time at AAA, despite the, mediocre contact rate. So I think he knows what he's doing at the plate. So yeah. And another thing to touch on, at the start of the year, playing a lot of shortstop, playing a lot of second base, but they've been sprinkling in some third base as well, which he did play in college, but that's good to see. I think he has the flexibility to play a shortstop, play a second base, play a third base, and I think we'll see that next year. Not sure what's going to happen with Nolan Arenado, but I think you could see the pathway to JJ Weatherholt becoming the future third baseman of this organization. So, I mean, that's what I got. If there's anything you want to touch on, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I know there have been some concerns about his defense at third base, maybe not looking as good. And, I think that'll come just by playing the position more. I don't think he really had that much experience playing third base in college or in, like Double-A or wherever he was before. So I don't know how worried I am about that, but that is something that I've heard thrown around there quite a bit. I think I'm one of the people that's more inclined to be aggressive with him this season. I think calling him up in September, as long as he doesn't get those at bats that gets rid of rookie status or anything like that, I don't think it really can hurt. I know there's like the cautionary tale of rushing Jordan Walker, but I think they're two different types of players. Walker had all the raw tools that JJ isn't going to hit the ball as hard as Jordan Walker. He's not going to swing the bat as hard, but he makes the decisions and is much more mature, probably, of a hitter than even like Jordan Walker is right now at the major league level. Like I don't think you're going to see JJ swinging at those sliders in the other batter's box like we saw Jordan Walker do, like from time to time, right? Like, and I think he profiles much more like the type of player that would benefit from that, like a Mason Wynn, getting those reps in 2023 that really helped him develop in 2024. And I think that's something that the Cardinals should do. Obviously, JJ, we expect hopefully to be a better hitter than Mason Wynn at some point. But just like that profile of hitter that maybe doesn't have all of those, bat speed, exit velocity metrics that some of the top players in the league have, but is a very mature, very complete hitter. So I would like to see that. I don't know what your thoughts are. I'm pretty sure we're not going to get that. Just hearing what we know through Mo and through Heim Bloom being in charge of a lot of that and 40-man stuff, which honestly I don't find to be particularly relevant, but want to get your thoughts on potentially seeing JJ later this season at the major league level. And then after that, we got 29 other prospects we got to talk about. So we got to make it speed up a little bit.
Well, I see both sides of it. I can understand the 40-man, rationale. I mean, Weatherholt doesn't have to be protected. And when you take a look at the Cardinals 40-man roster, you've got names like Tink Hence on it, Tekoa Roby, Semmer Bursa. I don't think those are guys that you can expect to contribute for your team in 2025, but I don't think you can be ready to give up on those names. And then you look at someone like a Cooper Jerpy in the offseason that you're going to have to protect. So while I do understand that, there is a lot of filler on this roster, I think you can fill a 40-man roster like pretty quickly, and especially when you think of all the names that are going to be on it that aren't even going to contribute. So to just push that decision to another year, let's have that flexibility for the offseason and give us more time to evaluate, some of these prospects. I think I could understand that, but at the same time, I also see the benefits of, JJ Weatherholt getting an opportunity to play down the stretch like Mason Wynn did, allowing him to struggle a little bit. And, 2026, when he's going to play, an ample amount of time, I wouldn't be surprised if he's penciled in opening day. Already having some experience, I think that would be good. So I could see both sides of it. Like you said, I don't expect JJ Weatherholt to be called up. It feels like every time Mo has talked about it, he's brushed it off. He hasn't made it seem like the Cardinals are going to promote him. And I think if there's anyone at AAA who is to get promoted, like I could see someone like a Cesar Prieto, guys that I think you would have to add to the 40-man roster in the offseason. So getting a little bit of a look to end the season. So yeah, either way, like I don't feel strongly towards it, but I do understand the rationale of keeping him off the 40-man more than people realize. And while he's had so much success at the AAA level already, isn't there a benefit to seeing if he's able to go through a struggle at AAA and see how he responds to that? Because throughout his whole AAA tenure, it feels like he's been scorching the ball. He hasn't really faced any sort of adversity yet. And I know it's a different story at the major league level, but seeing him struggle a little bit. I'm not saying that he might just not struggle, but wouldn't that be something to look for?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it is important to like let players get that in, and like you see with some of the guys that came up in the draft last year that have already been promoted to the major leagues. Aside from Kurtz, I don't really think anyone has been really that outstanding at the major league level. Like you see guys like Chase Burns has struggled and now he's hurt, and guys like Caglione just really didn't figure it out at the major league level. He's also, I think, on the IL right now, but. I don't think we should expect JJ to necessarily be that kind of player right away. And yeah, maybe seeing him at AAA for a little bit longer would be good. But like he's getting hits off like Chris Sale and like major league pitchers. And like I saw the 2 hits and like the the metrics on them, not exactly the flashes. He didn't like put one in the second deck or anything, but like he's taking good mature at bats against lefty starters that probably would have a very favorable matchup against him in the big leagues. So I don't know. Like I do understand that it's important to let him have those struggles and like figure things out and work through a slump and adjust. But I don't know why you can't do that also at the major league level, right? Like you call him up for 3 weeks down the stretch. Like he's still got a couple more weeks down at AAA to see how things are. And I really do think that the Cardinals should push for that draft pick compensation for him, having him on the opening day roster next year. I think that really makes a lot of sense unless he just has a horrible spring for some reason. I think he's going to be that guy that we see, get reps the most out of all the players. Like that was Walker in 2023. That was like Victor Scott this past spring, trying to see if he was going to be the starting center fielder. And there's just so many players on this 40-man roster that I look at that I just don't see the value in having them, right? Like there's relievers, obviously, like that you want to keep around and see what they have in spring training, and bullpens are volatile. But there's guys like Jose Fermin where like, what purpose does he serve on the roster, right? Like, yeah, he's depth, but you have other guys that play those positions. He's not a guy that's really going to stick around and be that much of a contributor going forward. And you can always find a guy like that on waivers. Like those guys are readily available. And like Michael Ciani, I know has great defensive tools, but with Church and Scott on the roster, like why would you roster another center field type player that is a glove first guy that literally has no value offensively? And we haven't seen that ever, right? Like Church and Scott both have the defense and they have better offensive tools than Ciani. I don't know why he's on the roster. Like there's just so many guys that you can point to that are like, if we have to cut this guy to give JJ Weatherholt 3 weeks of run, it won't matter. Like they were holding on to Luke and Baker for the longest time, and everyone was freaking out that he was going to be the next big thing for the Dodgers, who probably are the one team in major leagues that needs the least amount of DH and first base help. Like what? I don't really know what we're trying to do with a lot of these kinds of players on the roster. So I see both sides to some extent, but also just looking at the 40 minutes, just I don't understand it. But we do have 29 other prospects that we should probably talk about. So let's keep going for the rest of the list. We could probably have a whole episode on JJ. We actually did on Deal on the Cards. You can go check that out. But
this episode we might have to do 2 episodes the way this is rolling. But all right, number 2, I went back and forth on this between Liam Doyle and this player, but ultimately I decided to go with Rainiel Rodriguez. What a season he has had. We all knew that he tore the cover off the ball in the Dominican Summer League, but I mean, Malcolm Nunez did that as well. And he hasn't really turned out to be much of anything. But Ronniel, he got promoted to Palm Beach and he had a rough go for a little bit. Wasn't making the best swing decisions. And just overall offensively, it wasn't the strongest start. But since July 6th, he's slashing 289, 431, 614, and he's striking out less than he's walking. 15.3% strikeout rate, 16.7% walk rate. You know, he's nicknamed the Hulk. I reached out to him about that. Brock Hammett, who's one of the Cardinals hitting coordinators, every time that he was posted on social media, he would retweet the post with Hulk smash. So I just reached out to Ronniel and asked him, is your nickname the Hulk? And he was like, yeah. So that's cool being nicknamed the Hulk already, and it's deserved. The nickname is well deserved. He's got some of the best feel for elevating that I've seen come through the system, probably right up there with Nolan Gorman. And as he continues to mature, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more power in the tank than even a Nolan Gorman. So legit power prospect, right? Not just from an exit velocity standpoint, but he knows how to get the barrel out. He knows how to hit the ball in the air. He knows how to get it to his pull side. And we've seen that come to fruition this year, where he has 18 home runs between the Florida Complex League and Single A. He's got a fly ball rate of 35.1%, which is in the 97th percentile this year in the Florida State League. Barrel rate 11.2%, 91st percentile. So he's just a hitter that knows how to elevate, knows how to get his power out in game. And that has been so impressive to me, especially because this guy's only 18 years old. Like, you would think someone like him might not have the best batted ball profile in the world, but for him to be able to show this sort of maturity at the plate, being able to elevate as consistently as he does, the exit velocities have been above average for his age, hitting the barrel consistently. It's just been so impressive to me. And he's someone that I think should already be a consensus top 100 prospect. But I mean, hey, could he be a top 20 prospect soon? Like, the kind of offensive production that he's shown so far at only 18 years old at Single A, very, very impressive. And I think the defense has been better than I expected. I thought it would be, really rough around the edges, but I think he moves pretty well behind the plate. I think he's shown solid receiving, blocking skills for his age. I still think the arm strength is fringy. It's mostly like 76, 77 miles an hour on his throws to second base, but he's still throwing out runners, albeit it being at the lower level. So curious to see how that develops, but it's too early to move him off of a premium position, catching. And I'd like to see the Cardinals to continue to develop him behind the plate. So yeah, like catcher with crazy power upside. He's shown the swing decisions after a rough early going at the Single A level have taken a step in the right direction. He's walking a lot. He's not striking out. It's hard not to like what you've seen out of a Rainiel Rodriguez this year in his age 18 season at the Single A level. Just been so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy, I feel like we see highlights of him every single day of him just like cranking a ball 400 feet down in like Single A. And he is only 18, so he's going to be a couple years away at most, or at least from reaching the major leagues. He's not going to be making an impact really anytime soon. But this is a guy that I think, might be a top 25 prospect. Probably will be at some point if he keeps going down this track. This kind of bat that we really haven't seen, like the raw power, I feel like is something we haven't really seen out of a Cardinals player, prospect in a long time, and it's just a lot to be excited for. Do you think we could see him high A, double A next year? Like how fast do you think he could accelerate?
The Cardinals are, typically slow in terms of, catcher development. You look at someone like a Leonardo Bernal, held his own at the Single A level, and they reassigned him to Single A the following season. I think they're going to take it slow with Rainiel. I think he's shown a lot more at his age, especially offensively, than a Leonardo Bernal did. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a shocker at all to see him at Peoria. I think he will be at Peoria to start next year. Whether he gets a cup of coffee there at the end of the season or not, I'm not sure. I think that he'll probably finish out his season at single A, but not 100% sure on that. But yeah, this could be someone that, you know, it, if he's continuing to hit the ball the way that he is, it's going to be hard to not, continue to promote him up the levels. But I would imagine the Cardinals would take it slow with him, especially in terms of, him being developed as a catcher and making sure the defense is in a place where he's going to, be able to develop and play that position long term.
Yeah, absolutely. If he could be a catcher, like I'm still a believer in Ivan Herrera behind the plate. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not even a good hitter anymore. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I think having that kind of offensive potential from your catcher is really important. And I feel like that still elevates his prospect profile. Like even if he has to be a first baseman or an outfielder or whatever at some point, um, the bat is still like very, very good, and I think good enough to play if he keeps developing. But as a catcher, I think that's something that people kind of overlook with him, where, the Cardinals have so much catching depth that, it might not be necessary. Bernal might be a very capable major league catcher by the time Rainiel is promoted and he can go play first base or DH for you or whatever. But I think just having that option is really valuable. And we're only 2 prospects in. I think we should rapid fire some of the next ones, because I think JJ and Rainiel are 2 of the ones that have really been making waves in the minor leagues. And we've talked about a lot of these other guys on Birds on the Farm a lot. But before we do that, I'd like to thank one of our sponsors of the podcast, our presenting sponsor, 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. 314 is located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet. They're open 10 to 6 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards, and they have the newest selection of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. I just moved away from St. Louis. I miss 314. They're my guys over there. But definitely go check them out and tell them we sent you. All right. So do you want to just rapid fire through the next top 10, and we can kind of just talk about some of the highlights so we can get through this in less than like 2 hours?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you want to continue to do it the way that we're doing right now, and maybe we can make 2 episodes out of this. I don't know.
I mean, I think we're just rapid fire through it.
All right.
I feel like looking at the list, Liam Doyle obviously is next, but we haven't really talked about him. But I feel like aside from the draft live stream, there's not really too much. He hasn't debuted in the Cardinals organization yet, but obviously a really exciting arm, high upside, a lot of swing and miss that the Cardinals generally haven't coveted, and now I think we're seeing that change in philosophy. But after him, I think it's a lot of guys that have been around from 3 through 10, kind of guys that we've seen a lot about. I think we can talk about, just rattle off the names from the rest of the list. At number 4, we got Leonardo Bernal, then Quinn Matthews at number 5, Josh Baez at number 6, who I think has been one of the big risers. I think we can hit on that. And then we have a couple injured pitchers, Cooper Jerpy, Tekoa Roby, and then Jimmy Crooks, and then Tink Hence. Do you want to just go quickly and say what some of the highlights are from this top 10? And obviously, a lot of these guys are on the shelf right now. They haven't played a lot this season, which is really disappointing. But just want to kind of get your thoughts on maybe where some of these pitchers could end up if they return healthy, and then also with Joshua Baez being kind of a surprise. Like, I don't even think he was in your top 30 to start the season, but he's risen very quickly to number 6.
Yeah. All right. I'll try to be quick here. All right. Liam Doyle, highest upside arm in the system, I think. Fastball plus 96 miles an hour, close to 20 inches of carry. Had a 39% whiff rate this year at Tennessee. Splitter, I think, is plus as well. Elite depth on the pitch. Still working on the secondaries, the cutter, sweeper, curveball. And if there's one thing I'm looking forward to, it's the development of his breaking balls to see what direction the Cardinals end up going ultimately. But I think the fastball slider combo in the present is very impressive. And yeah, I mean, not sure if he'll get a look at the end of the season. I think it would be, exciting for the fans being able to see him, even if it's one inning, hopefully at the Palm Beach level. So we have the Hawkeye data to look at, but yeah, he had such a great year at Tennessee, transferring over from Mississippi when he didn't have the best of season in 2024, 5.73 ERA, fastball velo jumped, mechanics were more in tune. And he skyrocketed draft boards, was more of a second round guy heading into the season, ended up going 5th overall to the Cardinals. And yeah, couldn't be more excited to get an arm like this, a guy that has the potential to be an ace. Leonardo Bernal, really strong start of the season. Since July, it's been a little bit cold, 79 WRC plus since then. On the season, I still think it's been impressive overall. 260, 341, 768. He's been about 10% above league average offensively, and that's at the AA level as a 21-year-old, I believe. And, he's someone that doesn't strike out a whole lot, 15% strikeout rate. And his contact rate has jumped 5 percentage points from last year. He's at 81% now. So, I mean, sub 20% whiff rate is very impressive. And, the power has ticked down a little bit since the start of the season, but I still think from an overall offensive standpoint, I don't think you can expect him to hit for a crazy high average, hit for the most home runs. But I think when you put his numbers all together, I think he's just like a solid offensive player overall. And defensively, he's got a 39% caught stealing rate on the season, which is among the best for minor league baseball. So love to see that, especially a Cardinals organization that, was used to Yadi or Molina throwing out runners for so many years. But, since Yadi, I mean, it's been, the Cardinals haven't done the best of job of, managing the running game. So to have a guy like Leonardo Bernal, who has a cannon of an arm that knows how to throw out runners, it's cool to see that. And yeah, I can't wait to see him eventually at the major leagues. I think that, this year has been a step in the right direction for him, even if, the past couple months have been a little bit slower. I still think it's been a positive season overall. And, he's elevated to FV tier. He's jumped into 50 FV for me. So I think he has the chance to be a solid regular. And, I wouldn't be surprised if, Bernal is the catcher of the future for the St. Louis Cardinals. Quinn Matthews, has had command issues all year. Dealt with the shoulder soreness at the start of the season in April, was placed on the IL. Since returning, the velocity is down a little bit. The first few starts after returning from the IL, he was still like 93, 94 on the fastball, but like past 6 starts, it's been like 91, 92 range on the heater. And, last year it was 94, 95. So to see him drop 3 miles an hour, it's pretty alarming to some people. I still think that it's more of a mechanics thing than anything else. We've seen the walk issues, start to creep up. I think he's just trying to do a better job at just commanding the zone. And I think we saw that, past 6 starts. Last start, he actually averaged 93 on the fastball, which is the hardest that he's thrown in quite some time in terms of fastball velocity. But, despite him not throwing as hard as what he had showed last year, he's still missing a lot of bats. Like even when the fastball velocity 91, 92 range, the changeup on the season close to 56% whiff rate, the slider 39% whiff rate, curveball 44% whiff rate, and overall 35% whiff rate on the season. Like he's still missing bats, right? Is the fastball as explosive as what it was last year? No, but he's still someone that has so much conviction in those secondary offerings. And when he throws them, he's missing bats. And, that's been impressive to me this year, even though like the walks have been an issue. 6.44 walks per 9 on the year. Last year was only three per 9 innings. So yeah, I just like to see the command, get back to where it once was. I think it's been a mechanical issue all year. I'm sure the shoulder has contributed a little bit. He's also playing with a new ball, AAA using the major league ball, and that does take some adjusting to get used to. So there are some factors that are, reducing the velocity for him, that are, causing some of the mechanical issues and the walk rate creeping up. But hopefully, he can get back to around like three per 9 innings like he was last year. And if he's able to do that, I think with the strikeout stuff that he's shown, and even from a damage suppression standpoint, I think he should be fine. I think it's just all about reducing the walk rate. And I think, over his last few starts, it's looked better, but it's still not at a place where, it needs to be, if he's going to have, success at the major league level. I think he's got to do a better job at just limiting the walks. All right. So after that, 6th, I have Joshua Baez. What a story for him. You talk about a guy last year had a 37% strikeout rate at the high A level, was placed on the development list, and ended up finishing the year at Palm Beach. And we saw some promising signs, but it's hard to make too much out of a small sample size in single A, but he's just carried that into this season. You look at the contact rate last year, 63%. It's jumped up to 74.6% this year. So 11.6% upgrade in contact rate is absurd, right? Strikeout rate, 37.3% last year, down to 22.1%. So it's not like this guy's even striking out. Like even if he was striking out like 28, 29, 30% of the time with the kind of power that he has, I think it's livable. He's brought that down to 22%. Think about that for a second, Andrew. It's not plus bat to ball skills. It's not plus, strikeout avoid, but he's gotten to like pretty much an average level, and he's still hitting home runs 114 miles an hour. Like, it's crazy. On the season, 15 homers, 47 stolen bases. You talk about a dynamic athlete, a guy that has the power, has the speed, has a cannon of an arm in right field. Like, it's hard not to get excited about all these tools. And, that's why the Cardinals took him in the second round for a high, for a overslot bonus the year that they picked Michael McGreevy. Joshua Baez has always had all the talent in the world, but for him to make the adjustments in terms of, contact rate, being able to reduce the strikeout rate, the swing decisions have been better. He's not chasing as much as he did last year. Like, he's a fringe top 100 prospect in my eyes with what we have seen this year. And that's such a great development for this organization. Like, entering the season, like you touched on it, but this wasn't even a guy that I had inside my top 30. Had nothing to do with him not being talented. Like, we know the talent is there, but it's hard to get so excited about a guy that's striking out 37% of the time, not making enough contact, has to be placed on the development list. But he's turned his career around. He's looking like a future major league caliber starting outfielder. And I think there are some parallels to, Tyler O'Neill. I think he reminds me a little bit to him as someone that, similarly came through the Cardinal system. Some of the notable swing changes, he flattened out his stroke. His ability to make more low launch contact has been much improved from last year. He's not afraid to use the opposite field. Earlier in his career, he felt so pull happy. He's just, when you have the kind of raw power that Joshua Baez does, like, you can go opposite field and find power, right? So just seeing him become more of a complete hitter, it's just been awesome. And he's ascended into the top 6 in the system. And I think the Cardinals have, some exciting prospects, as we talked about: Quinn Matthews, Bernal, Doyle, Rainiel Rodriguez, JJ Weatherholt. Like, he's in pretty good company. And I have him also in the 50 FB tier. So, I mean, I think this is a guy that if he continues like the pace that he's on to finish out the year, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing him at the end of, top 100 list, you know, in the offseason. Like, he's been that impressive. And when you have all the tools that he has, and you're able to, make the improvements to go from like 30 contact rates, maybe 30s even pushing it a little bit, like really bad contact rates, to close to average, like that has been so awesome to watch this year. And Baez uh, has been one of the most exciting prospects in the system so far this year.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, just like hearing the story, like I know a lot about it, and like I've heard about it, but just to like hear it again and see where he's come, like maybe Jordan Walker will have that kind of resurgence next year. That'd be great. But yeah, it's just really cool to see that. And like to go from someone who you probably didn't even consider putting in your top 30 to number 6 on the list is like really showing some of the developments that, not only he has made, but I think these are sort of trends that we've seen throughout the organization, where there's guys making rapid ascent that maybe you wouldn't have seen in seasons prior with, new leadership taking over, and Rob Serfolio and guys like that having their say, and trying to find guys with tools that are really like strong tools. Like Baez has a really strong power tool, and then just working on some of those other things that, like the strikeout rate was just unplayably bad last year, and now starting to see what he can do if he didn't strike out, almost 40% of the time, which is kind of crazy to see. But yeah, we'll keep going. We're at 40 minutes. This is I don't know if we're gonna make it through, but we'll see.
All right, 7, I have Cooper Jerpy, and I know this is a higher ranking than most will have, especially after him undergoing Tommy John surgery. He's only pitched 93 and a third innings across 3 minor league seasons so far. But listen, I'll go back to it. His blend of strikeout ability and batted ball profile is like some of the best, like in minor league baseball. Like, this is someone 35.2% strikeout rate last year. His ability to just avoid line drives, he generates a lot of pop outs. Like, it's rare to find someone that has that sort of combination of, batted ball profile and strikeout ability. Is the walk rate a little bit higher than you would want? Sure. But I don't think it's I don't think it's as poor as some people make it out to be. And like, I feel like at the bare minimum, Cooper Jerpy is someone that could slate into a bullpen. Once he gets healthy, I think he'll slate in and be an effective reliever. And it's hard to find guys like that you have confidence in, that you have conviction in, will carve out a major league role in some capacity. And I'm still holding out hope in him being a starter. Look, 2023, he had a reconstruction loose body surgery on his elbow. Last year had elbow inflammation, and this year ultimately TJ. So I just don't think the elbow has been 100%. Let's see what it's like after surgery when his elbow's 100%, if he can actually, handle that workload and be a starter. Because when he has, gone deep into games, he's held his velocity. This isn't a Tink Hence issue. It's not a lot of knick-knack injuries, this, that, and the third. Like, it is like it's been 3 elbow injuries. I think all of them are related. That's just speculation on my end, but I think that until we see him, come back, hopefully, he doesn't have any more, arm related issues. I mean, it's inevitable for a pitcher, but only pitching 93 and a third innings across 3 seasons is like kind of troubling. But I think Jerpy, at the bare minimum, like I said, is going to be an effective major league reliever. And if not, like I think he's got mid rotation upside too. And he hasn't really shown an ability to, handle that full season yet. He did in Oregon State. That was years ago, but I still think from an Arsenal standpoint, this is someone that could work out as a starter. And I think the upside is there for him to be a potential mid-rotation guy. So this isn't someone I'm giving up on. Like he's Rule 5 eligible. I think the Cardinals have to protect him. He should be ready around mid-season, assuming there are no setbacks. And I think why wouldn't a team take a chance, right? Like if he ends up missing the whole season, like there's no risk that you're taking and you're potentially hitting the lottery. So I don't see why a team wouldn't, draft him in the Rule 5. So yeah, I mean, I'm higher on him the most. I really like the stuff, the approach angle on the fastball, really low slot. He does a lot of outlier things, and like he's when he's pitching, like I understand like he hasn't thrown a lot of innings, but he's done a lot of good things in the Cardinals minor league system. And then number 8, Takora Roby, another guy that is, had undergone Tommy John surgery, 3.10 ERA on the season. It's been his most consistent season. At the Double A level, 2.49 ERA in 47 innings. Was called up to Memphis. Had a little bit of a rough go, but over his last 4 outings of the season, we started to see, the pitcher that had such a dominant showing at Double A. Some of the metrics, like the fastball, with the major league ball, not as impressive as I thought it would be. Only 16 inches of vert from a 5.7 release, and it's pretty over the top. Only at a 13% whiff rate, but Roby's a smart pitcher. Like he understood that, and he was relying more on this new sinker that he added against right-handed bats to keep them off balance. A pitch that he used inside used in the inner third, and he's got a pair of exciting breaking balls. We all know about the curveball, hammer pitch, 82 miles an hour, really good spin rates, but his gyro slider is an impressive pitch as well. So, and he also added a kick change this year. He previously threw a different changeup. This one more vertical oriented, which I think works with his arsenal better. There was a lot of promising developments with the Takora Roby this year. Obviously, sucks to see him having to undergo Tommy John surgery. Hopefully, 2027, he's ready to go. And, we can see him in some capacity at the major league level, whether that's in the bullpen or he's getting some starts. I think he's a very impressive arm talent, someone that's got, 2 really good secondaries and a third one that I think is emerging, and just a smart pitcher that knows how to use his stuff. 9th, we have Jimmy Crooks. And Bernal, it feels like they've had opposite kind of seasons. Like Bernal, really hot start, but has been slow over the past couple months. Crooks, since July 3rd, is slashing 319, 391, 481, which is good for a 131 WRC plus at the AAA level. Why not see what this guy has at the major league level to end the season, right? Like Pedro Pages, like I know he's been hitting the ball well as of late, but do the Cardinals really see more than a backup catcher in him? And then Yoel Pozo, again, fun story, but I don't think he's got a long-term place on this team. So, what do you think of the whole Jimmy Crooks situation? Do you think the Cardinals should call him up at the end of the year to see, what it's like, to work with the pitching staff? As I'd imagine he gets a run next year, especially with him needing to be protected in the Rule 5 draft, in December.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Pages fan. Never really have been. It was a cool story last year coming up and taking over some of the at least the backup duties when Contreras was hurt, and then now that he's like the true backup to like starter, like I don't really know what he is anymore at this point. I don't even know who the Cardinals starting catcher really is. They have 2 catchers in the lineup that are hitting well, and neither of them are catching, which is just confusing to me. And then, with Pages, the defense is whatever. The game calling is, like, sure, maybe Pages is a good game caller, but this is a rotation that for the majority of the season has had Eric Fetty, Miles Michaelis, and Andre Palante. And like Sonny Gray's having a down year. Matthew Liberatore has kind of been whatever recently. Michael McGreevy is like an average starter at best, I think. But like, what are we trying to get with Pedro Baez. So yeah, I definitely think that if they want to give Crooks a run, why not at the end of the season? And with Pozo, like, yeah, it was a great story. I have never liked his approach at the plate, and it's starting to show where like his OPS has dropped into the 600s, and like there's a reason this guy wasn't on a roster going into spring training, and why he only had to sign a minor league contract with the Cardinals. Like if this guy was actually somehow able to put every ball in play no matter where it was pitched, someone would have signed him. But like you're starting to see some of the cracks show, and he's not really like he's not a good defender either behind the plate. So yeah, cool story, but I don't see either of these two really having long term role with this team in any meaningful way. So I think Crooks should definitely get a shot if they think they want to get if they think highly of him and want to give him a shot next season to be the starting catcher. I still think it should be Herrera, but I don't think the Cardinals are going to be doing that anytime soon.
Yeah, so we're at 50 minutes now. All right, I'm just gonna quickly like talk about each guy. Like Tank Hens has missed most of the season. Started off on the IL with a rib cage strain, but he's been on the IL since June, and it's an undisclosed injury. Haven't heard much. I just don't know at this point like what to do with him. Like we all know he's still talented. Last year at AA, really impressive season. Change up, had like elite whiff rates. I still think that from an arm talent standpoint, someone that sits mid 90s with his fastball has the shape has regressed a lot since his debut at Palm Beach. Like he's a lot more. He's not as his release height has gone up like significantly from what it was. Like it's not as flat of an approach angle to the plate, and just in terms of the numbers, like it hasn't performed as well over the past few years. But gyro slider was a pitch he added last year, took a step up from his previous slider, more of a two-plane shape. And, it's a pretty much pronation heavy profile. Like everything he throws moves arm side, like including his slider. I guess his curveball moves a little bit, or no, like pretty everything he throws goes arm side, which, interesting. Wasn't always like that, especially in his early days. Like he did throw a slider with some horizontal break to it and curveball as well. So they're still working through some mechanical things with him. Like he's not 100%, and obviously on the IL right now. Even like the extension, he's not extending down the mound as well. So I don't know what to make of him, but it's hard to deny, the kind of athleticism that he has, the kind of pitch mix that he has when he's on. And the results showed for at the AA level last year and throughout his whole minor league career. It's just the innings, like he hasn't been fully stretched out to the point where he has that starter's workload. Like I think when you look at the whole Cardinal system, I don't think there's a guy in the system with more like reliever risk out of like starting pitchers than Tink Hence. Like I think he's probably destined to be a bullpen guy, especially because when we've seen him, stretched out, go 4 or 5 innings, like his velocity, tanks. Like I remember starts last year where his fastball velocity would be in the 80s, in the 5th, 6th inning when he was stretched out. So haven't seen that, his ability to just sustain that velocity yet, or, show an ability to, consistently go 5, 6 innings to start. And this year is going to be another roadblock for him being able to recover from this, whatever he's going through, but still a talented arm. I trust the development staff. So we'll see what ends up happening with him. Like even in a reliever capacity, I think this is someone that has a chance to be a productive player down the road. So not giving up on him, but it's been a disappointing season for him, not being able to watch him pitch. And just hope he can get back on the mound some point, maybe at the end of the year. Maybe this is someone that you send to the Arizona Fall League, right? If he's able to get back healthy, because only 21 1/3 innings on the season. Eshawn Henderson, one of the breakout pitchers I'll actually group him and the next guy. So 11th and 12th, I have Eshawn Henderson and Brycen Mautz. Similar guys, honestly. Fastball around 94, 95. Mottz's velocity has ticked up more than Eshawn. I think it's closer to like 94, 95. Henderson more so around 94. But both of those guys have had breakout seasons at Double A. Eshawn doing it in his, like third full professional season. Like he's like the kind of year that he's had. Like I didn't even expect him to start at Double A, and he's been so consistent from day one at the level. 118 innings, 2.44 ERA, 125 strikeouts. Fastball gets solid vert for his release. He's got a sweeper that I think is his best pitch. Also mixes in cutter, changeup, and a curveball. So he's got that complete starter mix. Someone that commands the zone well, and I think that there is the profile there for him to potentially be a back end starter type. And I think the same with a guy like Brycen Mautz. I think Mautz might have a little bit more upside. I think his gyro slider is a better pitch than anything Eshawn throws. But yeah, like some of the other secondaries have also taken a step up. New changeup that kills a lot more vert than the one he previously threw. And he also added a cutter this year to go along with like the slurvy curveball that he has. But to see his velocity tick up like from like the 91, 92 range to closer to the mid 90s, like that's been awesome to watch for Brycen Mautz. And Mautz has been someone, he's got a really funky release that's tough on left-handed bats, but right-handed hitters have been able to find success against him. I mean, last year, 287, 362, 528 slash line. And so far this year, he's held his own, 232, 306, 398. So that's great to see. And he's still killing it against lefties. So love to see the development with Brycen Mautz. And then 13th and 14th, I have a couple similar guys, Ryan Mitchell and Yairo Padilla, both up the middle players, more, hit over power driven profiles, but guys that know how to manage the strike zone. I just think they have the upside to be potential regulars down the road, right? And while it's going to take a lot of time, Padilla, I mean, he's been at the complex. He was at the complex this year. Ryan Mitchell has yet to make his pro debut coming out of high school. Like these guys are ways away. But at the same time, like a lot of potential with them. So I think this is a great spot to have them 13th, 14th. And then I'll have Nathan Church 15, recently called up to the major leagues. And we've seen that defense on display, running down balls, showing off his cannon. Like defensively, this is someone that already profiles as a fourth outfielder type, someone that you could play comfortably in center, left, and right field. Offensively, on the season, 911 OPS between his three levels in the minor leagues. Had a rehab assignment in A-ball, but mostly AA, AAA. 329, 386, 524 slug. Not sure the slug is real. Like we'll see what it's like over a longer stretch at the major leagues. But some of his batted ball data doesn't scream to me as a guy that's going to slug a whole lot. I think, a lot has to do with the hitting environment and things like that. So we'll see what it's like. I think offensively, I would temper expectations with the Nathan Church, but I do think that he's a plus bat to ball guy at the very least, someone that shouldn't strike out. And if he's going to provide the defensive value that I know he's capable of, I think that there is the pathway to him being a regular, especially at center field. And, it's good to see him play a little bit down the stretch. And he's been impressive to me. I think he's shown some things with the bat. I think some of the underlying metrics are better than his, true numbers on the season so far at the major league level. And defensively, I've been really impressed, not only by his ability to show off that range, but his arm as well. So yeah, I think, at the very worst, you're looking at a fourth, fifth outfielder type, and that deserves some recognition on the prospect list, I would say.
Yeah, it's time to replace Victor Scott, right? That's what everyone on Twitter has been telling me. So after that one homer, but
what do you think of that? Do you think there should be an open competition, spring training?
I mean, sure. Like if if Church is like really hits the cover off the ball and like, because defensively, I don't know. Victor Scott's speed element, where like if Victor Scott, if you walk him, that's a double. Like that's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Church has speed, but he doesn't have that kind of game changing speed. Where like, sure, you could also use Scott off the bench as a late innings like pinch runner. Like if you walk Alec Burleson, then you put Scott in, and like that becomes a real issue. But like, yeah, I think there should be open battles for like most positions, but like unless Church really blows you away and really earns that playing time, I don't think there really should be much of a conversation. I don't know. Like to me, like Church is interesting. Like but he's also like 25. I think he's older than Victor Scott. So like, I don't know where the upside is with Church, where with Scott, there's definitely room for improvement. There's a lot of things that he can do better, pitch recognition, things like that, where he could really be a valuable piece if he's just even like 10% below league average on the base paths. And just with the speed in the outfield, it's just really dangerous.
On the season, he's had like around an 80 WRC plus, and I think that's livable with the kind of defense that he has. 16 outs above average, which like it's up there for center fielders. And yeah, like offensively, is there more? Is there more to dream on? Like I think there is, but even if he is an 80 WRC plus bat, with the kind of stolen base production that he's gonna have with the defense, like as long as that's there, like I think at the very worst, he's still a regular starting caliber center fielder and like an upgrade over like a Michael Ciani that you had last year.
Yeah, I think he's definitely an upgrade over Ciani, but Ciani also never should have been starting. He was like option number 7. If I recall, it was Edman and then Carlson and then Scott and then, Newt Barnes center and Ciani. It was like, okay, well, that's not going to work. But hey, it was fun while it lasted. And it was fun when everyone on Twitter was telling us that Ciani should be the starting center fielder this year, but whatever. We're halfway through. Do you want to continue or do you want to
You know what? What do you think?
I think we can just speed run the rest of it because we got into this starting off like we could have done the bottom 15, but I think people.
All right, let's
hear the
speed run. Let's.
Yeah.
Do you want to just go like 15 in a row? Like.
Yeah, we could just like name off the rest of them, and then like there's obviously a couple of new guys that I think you guys broke down on the trade deadline episode, but just. Do you want me to start? I can start right now.
Yeah, let's do 15. Or we just did 15.
We just did 15.
Let's do 16 to 20. Okay. And then I'll talk about a couple guys, and then we can do 20 to 30, and then I can talk about a couple guys, and we could wrap this up.
Yep. So starting at number 16, we got Braden Davis, and then Chen Wei Lin, Jesus Baez, Nate Dom, and Frank. I was not on the Helsley stream. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Elisol? Is that how you pronounce it? Okay.
Yeah.
3 Helsley guys right in a row, which thanks, Mets, for that. Appreciate that. Also taking Helsley's value so we can re-sign him for less next season. This is great. Like we love that.
Yeah, I got to start off with that number 16, Braden Davis. We touched on this a little bit at the start of the episode, but one of the biggest risers in the Cardinal system. He's 4th in minor league baseball in strikeout rate among qualifiers, which obviously you look at the Cardinals rotation right now. I think we could use guys like that could miss bats. Davis fastball has good metrics. Velocity is up a tick from last year. He's gotten up to the mid 90s, but sits around 92, 93. Changeup, best pitch. It's a copycat of the fastball movement wise. So what I mean by that, like vertically and horizontally, it's not like there's a crazy drop off, but where you see the drop off is that it's 10 miles an hour off the fastball. So hitters just have a tough time picking it up. Like he sells the pitch really well. And at the Florida State League, it had a 60% whiff rate. So, I mean, one of the best changeups, especially left-handed changeups in the minor leagues. And the Cardinals have been stockpiling, lefties with good changeups. Not only, a guy like Quinn Matthews, but now Braden Davis. And then you look down the system at a guy like Mason Molina. Like there's a lot of left-hand pitchers in the system that have good changeups. Even like a guy like Cade Crosland that they drafted out of Oklahoma, much like a Braden Davis. So love to see that strikeout ability. Curious to see what the stuff is like at the upper levels. It's like it is good. Like I think his secondary stuff is pretty good, but I mean he is still just sitting 92, 93 on the fastball. So wonder how that will play at the upper levels. But love that he's missing this many bats. The walks have been a little bit of an issue, like 69 walks and 102 in a third innings. Like he can get that down a bit, but love to see the bat missing upside with the Braden Davis. And, he's not allowing any sort of slug. It's been a fantastic season, like one of the top pitchers in the organization for sure this year. So after him, Chen Wei Lin has missed a lot of time this year, but stuff is still explosive. I think he's got his secondary stuff is really impressive. The changeup, working out the fastball, not the fastball, despite it, being, 96, 97, he could touch triple digits. It's not like the most metrically appealing fastball, more of a runner, but especially against righties, I think it's a pitch that he could limit the damage on. And him having a changeup that's viable really helps him in the left-handed matchups. The walk rate has gone up like significantly this year. But I think a lot of that has to do with him just not pitching a whole lot. I think once he gets back on the mound, has that routine, is going every 5 days. I think we should see the command start to settle in again. And he was just recently promoted to Springfield. So should be fun to watch him at that level. And then one last guy I wanted to mention, Nate Dome. He was one of my favorite pitchers last year in the 2024 class. So far this year between the Cardinals and Met system, he was a part of the Ryan Helsley package. He's mostly been working like two to 3 inning spurts. He missed a lot of time in 2024 at Mississippi State due to an arm issue. And I think the Cardinals are just being conservative with him. So I think it's going to be exciting to watch him next year, hopefully with a full workload. But in the limited time that we've seen him, between the Mets organization and the Cardinals organization, like he's put up some good numbers. So yeah, I think those are a few guys in that range that stand out to me.
Yeah, definitely a lot of like just depth. I feel like the bottom of the top 30, I feel like in years past hasn't been as exciting, but there's definitely guys to dream upon. I feel like Chen Wei Lin wasn't he like a borderline top 10 prospect at the beginning of the season? And I don't think he's really like gotten worse. It's just like there's a lot of guys that have risen, and as he's missed time, other guys have just kind of taken over the top spots, and still a guy definitely that has a lot of exciting potential as a starter. And then the guys you get from the Helsley trade, like, let's be honest, the Cardinals really should have just traded Helsley in the offseason. And like, relievers don't often bring back great hauls in the offseason, but the regression that we saw from Helsley, just the metrics stuff, like the Mets obviously didn't know he was going to be that bad when he got over there, but like they knew that they weren't getting 2024 Ryan Helsley, who was leading all of the league in saves and just couldn't seem to be touched, and was like really one of the most important pieces for the Cardinals last season. So for them to fill out the rest of the system with some pretty solid depth, you get 3 prospects that are in your top 20. I feel like that's definitely really exciting. Yeah, we should probably round it out with our bottom 10, or at least 21 through 30. 21, we got Deniel Ortiz. 22, Chase Davis. 23, Tanner Franklin. 24, Cesar Prieto. 25, Andre Granillo. 26, Luis Gastelum. 27, Sem Robertsa. 28, Hansel Rincon. 29, Randall Clemente. And 30, Leonel Sequeira. Correct me if I said any of those names wrong. Sorry.
Nah, I think you hit the nail on the head with all those names. But yeah, let's start off. Deniel Ortiz, I have him ranked 21st in the system. such an impressive season. Between single A and high A, 291, 404, 454 slash line, which is good for an 858 OPS, 12 home runs, 36 stolen bases. And Andrew, this isn't a guy that's fast. He's just aggressive on the base paths for whatever reason. And I mean, hey, it's working so far at the lower levels. We'll see if he's able to continue that sort of success in the upper levels, but not the fastest person in the world. But I mean, hey, it's working. So I think his quality of contact numbers just really stand out to me. Most of the season, he played down at Palm Beach, and you look at all of his, percentiles down there in terms of quality of contact. Average exit velocity, 91.5, 95th percentile. Sweet spot, so batted balls in between 8 to 32 degrees, 99th percentile with a 48% sweet spot rate. Barrel rate, 12.5%, 95th percentile. He just has such a great ability to loft, hit line drives, avoid ground balls. There is some swing and miss in his game. It hasn't, hurt him too much to this point. But that's something I'll be watching as he continues to climb through the system, because like the bat to ball numbers are below average, but he makes good swing decisions. This isn't someone that chases a whole lot, and you see that reflected with his walk rate. I think from an offensive standpoint, it's hard not to like what he's doing at such a young age, especially in the lower levels. I mean, this is a guy that just turned 21 years old, I believe, and he's crushing the lower levels, putting up some. It's not just like the stats, like the underlying data behind it has been so impressive too. Defensively, he's played some third base, he's played some first base. I don't know if you could expect him to be more than a fringe defender at third base, which lowers the ranking a little bit for someone that has such an explosive offensive skill set. Like, I do wonder if ultimately he'll just end up playing first base, but I think he's shown a lot of growth in that department, defensively, from, what I had seen in the MLB draft league last year, which is a great sign, but definitely more of a bat driven player. And the numbers that he's putting up in the lower levels has been so exciting, especially for a guy that, this was his age 20 season. So for him to have this sort of success already, it's been awesome. Like, he's been one of the biggest risers in the system as well. We've talked about a lot of pitchers who've been risers. Deniel Ortiz was a 16th round pick last year. And to see him, jump into the top 30, like, that's awesome. Like, love to see that. Tanner Franklin, we can touch on him a little bit. Competitive balance round B pick. The stuff was really impressive in his Palm Beach debut. 96 miles an hour, 18 inches of carry. Also flashed a cutter, baby sweeper at 86 and a changeup, which I think it's a rework changeup. I was trying to figure out the grip. It looked like a kick change. Can't confirm that, but it does seem to be a different changeup variant than the one that he threw in college. And he was just promoted to Peoria. So should be fun to watch, some of those outings at the end of the year. And he's one of the most exciting arms in the system. You talk about a guy that got up to 102 at Tennessee, and in his first appearance with Palm Beach, he was sitting 96, 97. He got up to 99. Like, the stuff is loud, and I think that when the Cardinals made this selection, in the competitive balance round B pick, I knew they would go in a different direction in terms of the arms they target. And it's cool to see him get an opportunity to finish out the year with the Cardinals affiliate. And I'll go with the last guy, number 30. I have Leonel Sequeira. You talk about a guy, age 20 season this year. Another guy recently turned 21, and he's pitching down at Palm Beach and had an awesome season. Like, 100 innings, 92 strikeouts, 4.31 ERA. Like, it's hard to expect more than that for a guy that's only 20 years old. It's some of the pitch metrics really impressive to me. Gyro slider is his best pitch, I would say. 46% whiff rate. And he's got a ton of conviction in it, knows how to use it against both righties and lefties. Big swing and miss option for him. And then he's got two different fastballs, a four-seamer that is more of a, cutty shape. And then he's got a sinker, which gets like 14 inches of horizontal. So, I mean, he's a guy already has two fastballs with a lot of those international players that are young, you typically only see them throw one fastball. Sekera knows how to manipulate the four-seamer and the sinker, throw it off of each other, mix in the gyro slider. I think the changeup could use some work, and he also has a curveball that he'll occasionally mix in. But it's mostly like the two fastballs and the gyro slider. But he's a guy, velocity uptick this year, was around 92 on his four-seamer last year. It's been up to 93. He's been on average this year, which is great to see. And when you have an arm this young, already showing feel for a plus secondary offering, has two fastballs that he knows how to use and manipulate, the velocity is at an upward trajectory. Hopefully he can get closer to the mid 90s. I just think this is an arm that you could dream on with him being so young and finding success at that level. And, he's throwing strikes. Like, I think there's a starting pitcher skill set with him already at that young age, already tossing 100 innings. Like, it's been awesome to watch him this year. And yeah, like I think that Sekera has the potential to, be a back end starter type eventually if he continues to develop. And really impressed by what I saw this year out of him.
Yeah. Sounds really cool. Exciting prospects down, even at the number 30 spot. Like, there's things to dream upon. And that's what we really want to see in the Cardinals farm system ranking. I don't know how much we should value like ESPN's opinion, but I think they were ranked number 9 on the most recent farm system, ranking. And like, ESPN's baseball coverage is notoriously like not very good, but it's still like exciting to see that the Cardinals are making the changes that they need. Organizationally, it seems like a lot of their philosophies have changed and starting to modernize finally, which, could have done that a couple of years earlier and they'd be in a better spot. But, it's exciting nonetheless to see that they're at least making the necessary changes, that they're, just starting to figure things out. And so appreciate you for having me on Birds on the Farm. Like, that was exciting. Hopefully Sandy will be back for the next episode in his normal seat, but glad to fill in for him for a week. And we will see you next time on Birds on the Farm.